Director, GEMS Education India, for his next keynote presentation.
So it's 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? 10 minutes. Okay. Oh, I've got 10 minutes. Good morning. I think we are very, very dry today. Good morning. Thank you so much. My name is Francis Joseph, and it's nice to have the community gather together today, and thank you, Gurdeep, for inviting me, and thank you, Preetham, and the earlier speaker for sharing their thoughts. I think most of the people who have trying to do an impact have a similar story. Right? I've realized that many of them have had not a superb experience from school, right? But I think they met one teacher, which is life. And that teacher changed their life, right? I was one of them. Never got a chance to go to the stage, nothing happened, and I just passed through. I don't know. In the system, you're like pushed, right? Every time you reach to the examination, you're like pushed. And finally, I think I started my journey as a teacher, and I was very fortunate that I grew from being a teacher to being the executive director of world's largest operator of schools today. It's God's favor. GEMS Education is located worldwide. We're the largest operator of schools in terms of revenue, might not be in terms of number of schools. We are now 190 schools across the world in 9 countries. In India, we cater to around 25,000 children across in different locations. When we spoke about teacher, our Varkey Foundation really supports that cause, and for the last 10 years, I don't know whether you have heard of Global Teacher Prize, the $1 million prize. The idea behind that was to ensure that how can we recognize that teacher, right? And we have been doing that for many years. Now we have the Global Student Prize and many more stuff. But I think education has changed over time. From the day I started getting into the classroom to today, I have witnessed a huge change. And I think if we do not understand or adapt to the change, we might become irrelevant. Okay, we are at that stage. Let me be very clear, we'll be irrelevant. And I keep telling the principals and across that we have to survive, we have to sustain, and we have to find our role in the whole scheme of things. Our learners have drastically changed. If you do not give them a flexibility, they will move out of your system. Instead, there was a time a few years back in one of the conferences I mentioned, I really don't know how long the school system will work. There's no guarantee. We might always think that admissions are coming in, but you have to understand that India has got many children. To get children in schools is also happening. But there are many schools which today are also struggling. You might not realize that. There are so many schools which don't have enough children. The numbers are dropping down. They're going somewhere. There is a consolidation happening. So education models need to evolve. If you have been doing the same thing for years together, it might not work. It might just not work. And no one has got a solution. We are very, over the last 65 years of setting up so many schools worldwide, we have realized that our focus is to create education models, not just brick and mortar. We want to adopt and build a system which gives option and flexibility to the learner. Children need flexibility, not just subjects. The way you teach and learn, they need flexibility today. We have started only thinking about giving them flexible options of subjects, but we are still in the same well, right? You need to give them a lot of other options because they don't like to learn the way we try to teach them. Whatever said, however engaged you are in the classroom, sometimes they don't like the classroom. They drop out of the school because of a dirty toilet. As simple as that. Today's children, when I visit schools, Many schools show me, oh, we've got this wonderful VR lab, this lab, but sometimes I can't cross the toilet. That pathway is so bad. One student I met, she said, over the last, she was in grade 6, she said, over the last 7-8 years, I've never been to the toilet. But every time I pass that way, I look at the staff toilet. It is so beautifully maintained. But that's maintained, why not ours? She said, I can't just pass by. And she dropped out of the school after a year back. We have to understand that children are different. They will not just fit into our box which we give them. And we have realized that very, very clearly. I was in a school 2 weeks back, in one of our school in Kerala, in Kottayam. I was with the architect and I said, you are an architect, but just remain quiet. I called my group of children and I told them, come on, this is what we want to build. What can we do in the infrastructure? Beautiful suggestions, which I don't know. Who lives in that school premise is the child. He knows or she knows every single thing which needs to be improved in the school. We talk about student voices. Do they have a voice? Whose voice is loudest in the school? You need to understand. Whose voice is loudest? Voice doesn't mean that they come to the lunch break and start screaming. No. Or probably they engage. No. Do they have the authority or the voice to make a change if something is not suiting their learning? Do they have that voice enough? Won't. I've not seen many schools accommodating that voice. It's a big transformation. It's not easy. But children also understand numbers today. You'll be surprised if you tell them that I have a budget issue. They understand that. They work around that. They're very smart. They're very good in numbers. If you have challenges in technology or numbers or understanding the world or understanding the parents and teachers, they're very good. You remember, if you don't understand something, you pass it to the child. Try with numbers. So I think children have really changed. And do you think they still like to sit for their long lectures in the classrooms? They study so much beyond school system. Today, I think after COVID, I've hardly met any student who says, I am not doing a parallel course together, along with the schooling and the coaching, and they on their own are able to do it. They're matured enough. When I talk about career for children, a lot of people tell me that children are not matured, they can't decide. Those days are going. Children know if they need to be a doctor, they need to know which specialty they want to go. They know which particular university they'll aim for, what needs to be done for that, and they are preparing. But do we give them that kind of environment? That's our job. So our role as a school has changed today. It's not the same role. You have to only counter the environment. Just learn to listen more. Try to accommodate their voice a lot. They will drive your school. The magic is in handing over the school accountability to that learner, which is the child. And it is that simple. There's no point doing student-led conferences without a voice to the child. There's no point. Try it out. You can give them a voice. Finally, why are we here as a school? We are here to ensure that they get a voice and they are able to succeed in their aspiration. The parent usually drops their child to your school for what? Why do they give that child? And why are they concerned? Because that child is their future. If the child fails, their future is dropped down. There is a direct link. They want to live a nice retired life. That's why they are selecting the best school. So schooling is not like a routine. If you're running like a routine, every year you're replicating the same thing, then trust me, slowly and steadily look at your data of demographics. You will start seeing shifts in that. Trust me, I've seen schools. I was in Kerala and I was talking to CBSE, and CBSE told me there are so many schools in Kerala, but 70% are struggling. Numbers are going. Where are those children going? And we talk about students going after for graduation. Trust me, the numbers of students going even at senior school level is increasing. There is a dynamics happening. Governments are trying a lot to bring them to the schooling system. So as a leader, I think my humble request is, don't sit in your school. Your job is not just to go to a school. Job is not just to go to the conference. Your role as an influencer is to influence policies. I've done that very actively. There is no gain in that. There is no money in that. There is nothing in that. But I was very, very blessed. In spite of setting up so many schools, I was also very fortunate that I set up an education board for the government of Maharashtra. It's a very different experience. Trust me, that's been my star experience. Setting up an education board, and I used to go to schools, tell them, why don't you affiliate? And that too, not a normal English board. It was a Marathi medium board. Imagine, more challenging. Because we feel that English rules over everything, right? English is just a language. You know, when you go to a smaller village or town, you will see that the power of a mother tongue medium is very, very powerful. Parents are engaged. Everyone is engaged. Unfortunately, the board had to be shut down in 3 years due to the politics around it in Maharashtra. But those 100 schools, when they shut it down, the kind of opposition which the government had in the assembly was amazing. That was like so satisfying that there are people who practice, yes, 23 seconds more. There are people who practice education, and there are people who really want to give the best to children. Thank you so much. I'm going to be available here for some more time. If we get to chat more than happy to be connected. Thank you so much. 8 seconds.